Hi, everybody. Welcome to day 10 of 21 days anti-aging protocol for awakening your inner lioness. I want to welcome everybody back and especially thank everybody that sent me a message this morning. I woke up early and had an opportunity to message every single one of you who is part of this training, who are officially 46 women inside of the Facebook group. So I've been every single day sending you messages and keeping you updated so that you don't lose track of what your priorities are. And I'm going to take a moment just to make sure I can share the link, but I invite you to participate by sharing with me. It's very helpful for me to hear what you got out of your participation so far, what's been valuable, what you learned, what inspired you, what made a difference. Maybe something you took on that you weren't doing before, something that provided you a mindset shift, something that inspired you, whatever it is that you can share with me, because I want to hear from you. I want to understand better what provides value. I want to understand better what makes a difference. I want to understand better what your pain points are. What are you dealing with that I can help you with? And so that is my intention with this 21 days. I'm almost done with posting this. Um, and it's important that I do it because there's a few of you that if I don't post it here, you don't get to see it live. And I know that you want to be here live. So that's the last step. Checking in with you guys. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Tell me something valuable. Let me know something new, exciting in life. Today we're talking about belly fat. How exciting is that? That we take half an hour of our time or about that much to talk about belly fat. Exciting theme, excited topic, very enthusiastic about this. But I know it's going to make a difference because when I talk with women, I find that a lot of you want to lose the last 10 pounds or eliminate belly fat. Some of you don't have a lot of weight to lose, but you have that little pouch. And maybe from having a baby. Hi, my friend. Thank you for being here live. I am happy to see you. And so we're talking about belly fat. That's the exciting topic as we were talking about. And some of you might not have belly fat, but you might have that little pouch from having a baby, or there's that little bit of, kind of flabby belly. And so we're going to talk about how do the hormones influence a tendency of having that and not being able to get rid of it, even if you go to the gym or you eat perfectly or that you stay, on top of everything that you have to do to avoid it. Some of you don't manage to lower that little bit of belly fat. And so we're going to talk about something that's related with what we talked about yesterday. So if you didn't watch the live yesterday, catch the replay. We went in depth about all the hormones and the impact that it has on our health and side effects and when it's low and when it's high. And I'm going to make reference to three different belly fat. So it's the belly fat conversation. And I'm just giggling about the topic because it seems superficial or it seems silly, but truly our organs in the body are inside of the midsection, the core. So keeping that area in shape, keeping that area strong, keeping that area detox, keeping that area on point is key. And when people start gaining weight, specifically the belly area is what puts us at risk of more diseases, diagnosis, issues. And so when we think of that way, we also think of it is related with anti-aging. It is related with keeping in top shape and avoiding the decline that is supposedly happening as we get older, right? But it doesn't necessarily need to be so if we take care of ourselves. We're proactive, we eat right, we exercise, we stretch, we rest, we have things that make us feel better, nourish our soul, a way of expressing our hobbies, our passions, our gifts, that, all the things that we want to do as human beings, make an impact in the world, leave a legacy behind, contributing in some way, being useful in this earth that is needing from all of us to contribute to. And so I'm not sure why I'm going into that depth, but it's all related, is what I'm saying. Being happy will make us feel much more relaxed. Relaxed is less issues with hormones as well. And we're going to go right into the topic right away. As you come in, I see at least three more that I didn't get to say hi. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Tell us something valuable that you got out of the participation. And I was saying that the topic today is related with the topic from yesterday because it's hormones. Yesterday was hormones, and today's the belly fat conversation. So um, the first thing I want to say is that we are so focused on the aesthetic aspect of the way the body looks and or feels when we put clothes on or when we're going to be in public. Sometimes we're super conscious of it or shy or embarrassed or we feel pressure to look a certain way or do a certain thing or, wear something that looks a certain way. And we have to think and be cognizant of the aspects of health that would have us have a long quality of life, right? So it's not just long, it also needs to be quality. And so, as women around 40 years old, most of you are, some of you are a little bit older, maybe a few of you are a little bit earlier in that process, but we all go through this perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and all the things with regards to hormones are the things that impact us the most. And sometimes we're not even aware unless we educate ourselves. Have an opportunity to be here tonight when I share all the information that I kind of have to learn to figure out how to help myself with all the side effects of bad sleep, irritation, foggy brain, belly fat, being exhausted at times, being wired at times, not being able to rest, and all the things that happen with menopause that sometimes is not written in a book or the doctors don't tell you. Nobody warns us about it. And even when we bring it up, sometimes doctors look at us like, no, it's just part of aging. It's what it's supposed to be. No, not necessarily so. And so let's talk about the three things that will make a difference in impacting our hormones and balancing the hormones and what you can do to be able to contrarrest the process of aging, growing older. And, the protocols that I share with you based on your nutrition as well as your mindfulness and that you are intentional on what you bring about, both people and things you consume, in the media or what you read or the conversations you have with people, what you focus on, all that part is the mindset, the way that we approach life and that our health is going to have an impact if we're not really focusing on the positive and we're just being constantly negative about everything. And so the first thing in regards to the physical aspect of health related with hormones and the belly fat is that we need to address inflammation. Address inflammation. Inflammation happens in our body when we're not eating right many times. It could also happen when we are either tired or stressed or dehydrated, or we haven't had enough time sitting down or relaxed and we're always running. All those things can impact our inflammation, but the culprit usually is nutrition. And so we have to be mindful of drinking enough water and eating somewhat, food that are going to support us not being in optimal health and having that inflammation. I share with you, I don't know if it was in this training or the last training, that I did a very in-depth genetic testing, and I'm interested always in knowing if there's things like the things that my parents dealt with in their health in the later days could be something that could impact me in the future. And there's a science called epigenetics, which talks about how are the cells being nourished or not, right? And how can we nourish the cells because they're constantly renewing themselves so that maybe 3 months from now, 6 months from now, the environment around the cell, the environment of the cell itself is ideal for you to have longevity, quality of life, and not being prone to diseases or diagnosis that could negatively impact your health. And so we actually can do a genetic testing in depth, and it will look at all the little parameters, and it will give you a specific protocol on how to address what. And in my particular, responses, overall, my health is very good. But it specifically recommended me from my blood exam and everything that was related with the genetics to do more cardio and to reduce the levels of inflammation and always being mindful of the blood sugar levels. And so everything that I'm sharing with you comes from optimal functioning, right? And reducing things that impacted my health, such as balance of hormones as well as sugar levels. And so, first one is inflammation. Let's address that one first. And it says inflammation can make it harder for your body to function at its best. So it's not optimal functioning, it's actually decline. It's kind of groggy, slower, not responsive, not ideal. And so we have to really focus on lowering the inflammation. It says to do that, you can eat more whole foods. You can eat all colorful foods, not just vegetables, but think of the colorful vegetables: green, red, purple, white, combination of colors, right? That's totally required. Healthy fats, avocados, any kind of fat that you like to put in your salad or vegetables, nuts, coconut oil. I don't know what else could be. Some of you are vegetarian, some of you are not. So you have to look inside of what your nutrition, tendencies or preferences are. Healthy fats. It's very important to have a healthy fat. And then quality protein. I think as a society, at least personally here in the United States, I know some of you are in Australia or in Europe, and you might find it almost amusing. But there's been such an increase of people being on the GLPs and the peptides for weight loss specifically, that the tendencies of people buying foods in the United States has completely changed. Like 2 years ago, everybody was looking for high fat and or moderate protein levels because everybody was on the ketogenic or low carb nutritional plan. But now everybody has gone into these weight loss medications or peptides, the GLPs, and everybody's looking for high fat, low sugar. And so when you go to the supermarket here in the United States, if you are not here, I'm sharing with you this particular fact that I find very funny and somewhat, ridiculous in a way, but that's the way things are. We're not here to judge. It's just noticing, right? The society and how it's turned is that you go and you buy yogurt, which normally would be a little bit of carbohydrate, a little bit of protein, a little bit of fiber sometimes, but it doesn't necessarily have a very high content of protein. But then it says protein, so it's man-made protein added to every single thing that you can see, from chips to yogurt to tortillas to anything you can think of. Everything has protein added. And some of the items don't even particularly taste good. So I'm not saying that you need to consume that. Some of the options could be great sources of, additional protein, but I find that some of the articles that are selling filled with proteins are not supposed to have really high protein, like chips. Like, might as well just skip the chips altogether and not worry about how much protein the chip is going to have. I find it very funny. And so, staying focused on what we're talking about quality protein. So whatever source of protein, some of you, as I said, if you're vegetarians or vegans, I respect every choice, but you have to think of what could be a good source of protein for me. And how can I make sure that I start my meals and I contain in every meal a little bit of protein so that you can build muscle, you can keep your muscle, and you don't lose the tone. That's kind of very important. It's also very important for our health, but just making sure you have the quality of the protein. So staying hydrated, we always talk about water intake. We're mostly made of water. Sometimes we don't drink enough. And then we get foggy brain or irritated or super tired. We start yawning. And many times we think we're hungry, but ultimately we're dehydrated. And by the body telling you that you're thirsty, that means you are, in fact, dehydrated. So we don't want to wait until we get to that point. We want to drink a little bit of water throughout the day. Market deployed to get you to buy more chips. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's kind of nonsense. I feel that the chips, yogurt, um, what else can I think of? Those are the two things that come to mind that are not meant to have very high content of protein. And I bought yogurt one time, and my daughter said, "I thought there's no way I can have that yogurt. It tastes so chalky." So it makes no sense. But anyway, let's continue going with what we're talking about. Staying hydrated, staying away from ultra processed foods, nothing from a box, nothing that you put in the microwave and you turn that thing and walk away for 5 minutes. That is not food. Junk food, of course, is not food. It's junk, and so there's no, I don't even consider that food. But making sure that you're preparing your food from scratch to the best of your ability. I recommend always to prep your food, maybe do food for 2, 3 days so you're not constantly cooking or feeling overwhelmed with that. But you can meal prep 2, 3 days worth of food and make it simple. You can eat the same thing 2 or 3 days as long as it's simple and it's yummy and you just rotate the meals or freeze some and then take some out, so you have the variety. But meal prep is always good and not feel like you're always thinking of what to eat and preparing something to eat, especially if you live alone or you have a small family because you don't feel like cooking so much and you don't feel like being in the kitchen so much and all the time. So preparing for 2, 3 days gives you a chance to put it in the fridge. When you're ready to eat it, you just warm it up in whatever way you would normally, and you have enough, and you don't have to think about it or prep. And then cutting an excess of sugar. I know if you live in the United States, again, I make references because this is where I live, but I know this is not such an issue in Europe. I don't know exactly how it is in Australia, one of the participants, or in Latin America for the ladies that are here that are coming from another culture or way of being. In America here, every holiday has a candy associated to it, and every social gathering has some sort of sugar, and kids are just hooked into sugar at a young age. It's socially accepted and constantly present for everything, and so it's hard to even socially stay away from it. Because if you go somewhere, if somebody made a cake or brought a cake or brought donuts for breakfast or whatever, it's kind of like temptation, but also it's kind of rude in situations that you don't eat it. So you end up being kind of like used to overeating sugar. But sugars are not good for us. It makes us age really fast. It makes our kind of mood go up and down. It increases insulin. And we're going to talk about what happens with that because that's one of the other points that we're going to talk about. But let's finish with the inflammation. So eat every meal, think of nourishing your body, right? You're giving your body a gift. So preparing the meal, taking the time to plan, to think, to buy, to slow down and eating, enjoying the meal versus rushing, running around. And I know if you live once again in the United States, you were always running around doing stuff, but to the best of our ability to slow down in that moment, to plan those things ahead, to be intentional about buying the ingredients that we're going to need to nourish our body in the best way possible, and making a commitment, being consistent, being disciplined with those things, and trying to make that habit a lifestyle, not just a diet thing, but making it long term. That's also another key thing for anti aging or preventing the decline in the way that we operate just from growing older. It doesn't necessarily need to be that. And we can prevent it in a massive scale if we're disciplined and stay intentional. The second one of the tips to be able to do this is to lower your stress. Cortisol is a hormone that we talked about yesterday that is the culprit for belly fat. And so cortisol is also present when you're stressed out. It's not supposed to be present. It's only supposed to be at night that you are resting. Cortisol is pumping. That's the way body's supposed to operate. But when it shows up, it's because you're stressed out, you're in a fight or flight, survival, uncertainty, trying to force outcomes, or being afraid of something not going a certain way and just kind of like being stressed about it, right? And so the cortisol is one of the culprits that you have in regards to the belly fat, and that's the reason why many times the midsection gets a little bit bigger. It's prone to make us have more belly fat, and cortisol is absolutely linked with stress, absolutely linked. So the mindfulness practice we did the other day, the breath work, meditation, walks in nature. I have a few other exercises. I think that we're gonna go over that. Yeah. So examples are taking a walk, practicing deep breathing. We did that the other day, right? Praying or meditating in whatever way you find you see fit for yourself and your faith. Writing a journal in hand, by hand, not computer, and just do it by hand. Taking the time to connect with yourself, with your emotions, it's always going to be good. And then laughing, a very simple thing that sometimes we don't do enough, whether because we're stressed or because we don't have funny people around or we don't watch things that make us laugh. But laughing is so healing, so relaxing, and it keeps us young. And so using laugh as a way of anti-age, reducing stress, and kind of lightening up, enjoying life a little bit more, which is gonna give us the quality and the longevity, the quality of life and the longevity that we're looking for. So those are all the examples that we have. But in regards to high stress level, also the chronic stress raises the cortisol, as we talked about over time, and then elevated cortisol might contribute to increased fat storage around the belly button. We already talked about that, right? So your body needs moments of safety every day. Nervous system gets kind of crazy when we're up and down with emotions. Our emotions are very much impacted by sugar. And so we're going to talk about that in the last point. But if you find ways that you can regulate your nervous system, bringing it to 0 point with breath work, meditation, movement, yoga, relaxation, reading a book, connecting with people you love, whatever way that we discussed before, the prayer, all the things, journaling, all the things that we talked about, it will help you regulate your nervous system, calm it down, soothe it, which lowers your levels of cortisol and in turn lowers the belly fat storage. If you're able to keep your cool, your chill, relax, meditate every day, see the impact that that could have on your health and the way you feel, because it can have a great impact and it can help you regulate the nervous system, which in turn lower the cortisol, which in turn helps you not accumulate a lot of fat in the belly. And this is number one question I used to have when I had consultations in person at the gym. Women will come, every single one, around 40 years old. All I want to do is just lose a little bit of belly fat. It's almost like a joke because that's all every single woman talked about in the first session. It was kind of funny, repetitive, right? The other thing that we want to talk about in the third point for today is the balance of the body sugar, blood sugar, not body sugar, blood sugar. And so pre-diabetes, metabolic issues, diabetes type 1, which is the one that cannot be reversed, and diabetes type 2, which is the one that can possibly be reversed through nutrition and lifestyle changes and commitment, being intentional with what you eat and exercise and all those things. Personally, I managed to go from pre-diabetic to healthy state in 3 months because I was very focused and very intentional. I was trying to prove my doctor wrong too. A little bit of that rationalness, put it in the recipe because it always helps. I didn't want to be on medication for, the pre-diabetic condition. But as I shared with you before, and some of you might not have heard every single live, but I'll repeat it just as a way to emphasize it, that my pre-diabetic condition didn't necessarily mean high sugar. It meant really low vitamin D. And vitamin D, when you go to Google or Wikipedia or wherever you want to do your research online, go to ChatGPT, Google, wherever, when you put, side effects of low vitamin D, it is pre-diabetic conditions. Something that doctors don't ever discuss, that I don't even know. Some doctors know, pay attention to that, care. The health industry in many cases really wants us to not get well, not heal, not reverse our conditions and diagnosis because they won't make any money from us if we're healthy and empowered. And so I think some things are just not really what the school for doctors is focused on, and nutrition is a big one of them. Doctors do not have an understanding many times in the impact of nutrition. So let's stay focused on what we're talking about, which is blood sugar, right? So blood sugar goes up and down when you eat something made of sugar. But what happens is, let's say you eat sugar, then you have the insulin kind of creep up to lower the levels of sugar in your blood. And then the sugar disappears, and you still have this insulin latent in your body looking for more sugar to be able to consume. I explained this before. Sometimes it doesn't make sense until you hear it a couple of times. So the insulin is looking for sugar, and it acts kind of like a craving because your body's needing sugar to process so that it can lower the level of insulin. So the insulin is kind of like a little Pac-Man trying to get to eat that little bit of sugar. And so it's going to ask for sugar. It's going to be in a form of cravings, and you're going to go crazy because your body will ask for more sugar. It's like, mommy, mommy, like little kids in the supermarket, mommy, mommy, buy me more sugar, give me more sugar, let me eat one more cookie, let me eat one more whatever it is that they want, always sugar, because we become addictive to that insulin spiking, feeling good, and then we crash. And when we crash, our body's going to crave more sugar, so it feels good again. So it has that insulin and sugar rush. When you look at kids, they can have their sugar rush, eat a lot of sugar, and then they crash and they're crying or upset, or all of a sudden they hurt themselves, whatever the case. They start whining, complaining, all the things that sugar makes them do, right? So we have that as adults if we don't watch for that sugar balance, okay? So frequent spikes in blood sugar can contribute to insulin resistance. People or women with PCOS, that is going to be something that many times it's, kind of like the indication is you start having insulin resistance, and then many times you get diagnosed with PCOS. People with pre-diabetes or diabetes type 2, which is more advanced, many times have insulin resistance. So you have to address the insulin resistance to be able to just lower the sugar because the insulin is not longer as effective in your body. And that's something that is going to take a little bit of time to fix, but you can do it many times holistically before they put you on medication, before they give you a drug to try to quote unquote fix the problem, because we know every drug we take that we don't need is going to require another drug to dissipate the side effects of the first one, and so on and so on. So we don't want to go that route, if at all possible, avoiding it for as long as we can. At times it is necessary for conditions that are not able to be addressed without the medication, but to the extent that we can. And I say this because my parents own a pharmacy, and medication, no bueno. It's not really great unless you absolutely need it. It has a lot of side effects. It creates addiction, dependence, and then your body stops operating optimally because you have all these side effects from it that require other medications, and it just makes your health decline and tank. So staying away from medication as much as you can. Simple habits that you can implement that make a big difference is eating the protein before everything else in your plate and eating protein in every meal. So being intentional about having some protein in every meal. Do not skip meals. When you skip meals, your blood sugar level goes down. And when you eat, many times you're hungry, and then you're looking for starchy, carbohydrate, dense, sugary foods that spike your insulin again, and that is not really helpful. And so not skipping meals will help you keep that blood sugar level stable and more regulated than doing the opposite. And then moving your body after eating. Within the 2 hour window after you finish your meal, your insulin is going to have a response to whatever food you ate. If it's high in sugar and or carbohydrates, your body is going to have a reaction by increasing insulin to carve those kind of sugars down, and to be able to lower the level of the sugar. So within those 2 hours, if you were to go and exercise, it will lower the response from the insulin not going so high, and it's extremely beneficial for the body for digestion, to not eat a lot of sugar, of course, or carbohydrates, which is the same because carbohydrates turn into sugar to have your body process it, but also using movement as a way to lower the impact of the carbohydrates when you have carbohydrates. And vegetables, excessive vegetables can also be high in carbohydrates. And so we always want to be mindful of not overdoing carbohydrates and always accompanying it with protein. And for some of you, this kind of goes above your head, but it's good to start learning about this. And then over time, you kind of go more in depth and you learn to find ways to implement it in your lifestyle and be consistent with things, because that is what ultimately will make a difference, making the lifestyle changes and being accountable to yourself to improve that daily habit and the lifestyle that you do day after day. Consistency is key, and what you do long term has a huge impact in your health. So the new routines, the new lifestyle changes that you implement can make a huge difference. And then after that is limiting the sugary snacks and the drinks. We all know that, not many people drink a lot of water all day. I many times prefer club soda or water than anything sugary because it does not do well with my body. And so finding ways to drink more water and less sugar in your drinks, avoiding sugar altogether, it's just not something that is really conducive to your health. It's gonna age you faster. It's gonna impact your mood and your irritability levels and focus levels, because your hormones are impacted. I wanted to mention also the insulin, when it's pumped, is another way that you're gonna have more tendencies of having belly fat increase. And so we talked so far about cortisol and insulin, both hormones that impact, the tendency of having the belly fat area grow. And it's so frustrating because unless you address that issue, no matter what you do, you're going to have the same problem, because we have the inflammation and we have the hormones out of balance, and there is nothing you can do nutrition wise or exercise wise that will fix that core issue. And it's important to know that, because sometimes we don't know why what we're doing is not effective. And so that is one of the things that I specifically do for women, and I help women understand and accompany them in the journey of being able to adjust all those things, understand the impact, address the concerns, and doing the hormone replacement therapy after being able to see the side effects, the characteristics of the side effects that you're experiencing. Specifically for me, it was bad sleep, irritability, lack of focus, belly fat increase. Those are the things that were really, really, really bothering me the most when I went to the doctor the first time. And I don't think anybody ever told me that it was supposed to be that way in menopause unless you address the hormones. And I think that the last thing for this, the sugar balance in your blood, is small, consistent choices create lasting change. Sometimes we think that we have to do everything right, perfect, above and beyond, and then we beat ourselves up if it's not exactly like they show in social media or in the TV, right? Like we feel really stressed out that there's this model that I'm supposed to meet or this standard that I'm supposed to meet. And if I'm not perfect and if I don't hit all the little ticks on every single thing, then I start making myself wrong and beating myself up. But if we have to kind of make those small, consistent changes and make it into a habit, make it into your lifestyle, in that over a period of 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, it is the protocol of anti-aging that I'm talking about. Bringing out your lioness is keeping yourself empowered, being intentional, being courageous at doing all the things that you have to do, not giving up, and really being wise in your choices and looking at your body as the only tool you have for quality of life and longevity. And it's important that you take care of it because there's no replacement. You can't pay for it. Health is something that if you don't have, then there is not a price tag that you can put on anything else that will be more important than health. Because without health, you cannot function, you cannot enjoy, it can be scary, and we don't want to go there. So let's talk about one more thing before we go into the affirmation. Yesterday we talked about estrogen. Estrogen is another of the hormones that are really impactful. And what I want to mention in regards to today's topic, which is the body fat or the belly fat, specifically the belly fat conversation. What a sexy topic. That low estrogen is also a culprit for belly fat area. Belly area, the other way around, right? So when you think of the three different hormones, cortisol, insulin, and low estrogen, if you think about those three are the culprits for excessive belly fat. And, it's important that we really address those concerns and that we don't count on the doctor to tell us or recommend us the right things, because many times they don't have your best interest. It's about you educating yourself, doing your research, finding the best options, and really trial and error many times. And the purpose of this is also sharing my journey so that you don't have to struggle so much and as much as I did in many of these areas, the sugar balancing and the hormones. So let's talk about the affirmation for today. I find those are your favorites. Many of you have mentioned how affirmations are something that you love, and I love affirmations too. I don't rely on them as much, but it's always good to faster when we can see ourselves in that, the vision of what we want to create. So, Lioness affirmation for today. My body is wise, resilient, and capable of healing. Every healthy choice I make reduces inflammation, restores balance, and brings me closer to the vibrant, confident women we are. Yes, we really want to be embodiment in this moment and reassure that we're already there. We're already there. We're not there waiting to be there or not there yet or we're not waiting. We're there already. We are a representation, an embodiment, um, a way of being shows the new version of ourselves. So I request or recommend that you use that affirmation as a way to maybe you have it written in maybe you have it written in your wallet or in your desk or take a screenshot and put it in your phone, whatever it is. And I've been losing my voice, so I hope you guys have me for 10 more days with somewhat of a decent voice because my voice tends to get hoarse if I you as well as living my own life and my voice is getting a little hoarse. I'm protecting it so that I can last with you for the 10 days that we have left or 11 days that we have left. Choose one habit from today's lessons that you're going to practice for the next 24 hours. But it could be drinking water, um, creating a balanced meal with protein, healthy fats and vegetables, taking a walk, spending 10 minutes reducing stress through prayer, meditation, breathing, journaling, and then share in the thread what you've done, right? Which habit did you choose? How did you make it? How did it make you feel? And what's one thing you learn about your body today? We have to check in with our body. We have to be aware how we feel. We have to tune in. We don't want to really overlook. Many times we get the little whisper in the ear that we gotta do X, Y, Z, but we're rushing. We gotta get there. We gotta do this thing. We gotta get to the goal with a job or the deadline or the business or whatever the case might be, and we're always distracted. This is a time for you to tune in and listen to your body because the body gives us the signals. So sometimes we're not paying attention, we're distracted, we're, you know, kind of avoiding listening or whatever the case might be. And let's just make it a point to pay attention to what you learn about your body today. And then transformation doesn't really happen overnight. This is going to be 21 days to create a new habit, a new awareness, a new commitment, a new discipline, and a new long-term lifestyle change that will give you that behavior modification so that you can get to your goals, whether that is lowering your sugar, lowering body fat, removing whatever it is that you have as a condition or a diagnosis or reducing the side effects of a specific diagnosis. Because many times when you take care of yourself, certain chronic conditions can actually be less intense. And so keep it in mind that, okay? And so it happens through a small decisions that you make every single day, being consistent, being disciplined, being committed, and one healthy choice at a time, you are awakening that inner lioness. And we are at 8:45. And what I wanted to say is every single one of you that responded to me today, I did not have an opportunity to go back and sit in my computer to properly respond to each one of you. I will. Thank you so much for taking the time to respond back. I appreciate it. And I have two winners for the session. Yesterday I did not do it, but we're going to keep on doing the free session as long as you keep on participating in the homework. And I appreciate the homework because it also helps me understand what your pain points are. What are you dealing with? So I can cater the training more specifically to what you need as support, at least for the next 21 days. And some of you might decide continuing long term once I offer you the opportunity for different options to be able to do so. But at this point, I hope you're enjoying the training. The winners for today are Darlene. Darlene, we mean on and off in communication. I know you're trying your best to keep up. It takes a lot to keep up. Sometimes just keeping up is enough, and holding by a thread is always acknowledged and a form of courageous action. And, hopefully you guys have the time. There's at least one more person that said, I'm behind, I'm behind. No, you're not behind. Divine timing. You're supposed to be exactly where you are, and you're perfectly where you are. There is no rushing or trying to get there, or I'm being who I am right in this moment and embodying the version of who I am in this moment, and it's totally perfect. I'm hoping that you take advantage of the training, but no making yourself wrong, no beating yourself up, no being significant or being negative about, oh, I missed this day or I missed that day or I failed behind. Just come back to it. Come back, catch up, catch up, catch up. If you need any support, let me know. And then there's another winner for the free session today, which is Kim. Kim, you're also winning the free session for today. And so I'll be in touch with you guys. But if you heard at least one or two of you, let me know. I heard I'm a winner for the free session. Just reach out to me. Know that I do my best to be in touch with every single one of you and address your concerns and answer the questions and participating in the live and the chat and the responses and the homework. But I will keep on giving away the free sessions for as long as you participate. And I want to say thank you so much for being so present, coming back to the training, the replays, participating in the homework thread, messaging me back, giving me feedback, asking the questions. And some of you feel bad that you're not participating as much as you can. I believe that the right time comes for every single one of you. And if it's not now, it's totally fine. And I appreciate you joining the training. Maybe it is another time. And some of you many, many times come back to the same training more than once. This is the first time I'm offering this particular one, but so far I think it's every single time I offer a new one, I think it's the best one, and then I find one that is better than the last one. And so we're gonna complete the live for today. Kim and Darlene, you're the winners for today. Thank you so much, all of you, for participating, for being active in the group and for letting me know in what ways I can support you. Know I'm available for the next 11 days. I'm going to plan to do some Zoom sessions next week. Make sure that you claim your free sessions by the end of this week, at least for the ones that earned it last week and this week. I want to have you on the books by the end of this week, or it's optional if I'm going to cater to all of you. Because what happens is when I do a 21 days, I give the free session for the ones willing, and then last week everybody wants to get it in, and I don't possibly have the time to honor it for everybody. And if you want it, I want you to take advantage of it, but you have to claim it. And I will be sending the live and the replay and the homework set by email no later than tomorrow morning. And I will put the homework in the group in the next few minutes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a lovely night and let me know if you need anything from me have questions or anything you want to share, I will see you tomorrow at 9 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Bye bye.